What's traveling? I'm Reggie Becton, and you're on air with Duane. Anything that was going on in my life, I was just like writing it down,
Writing it
how I
down.
felt, and things like that, because I knew that it would be something. I wanted to make music like inspired by the music that I needed when I first moved here, and I think California was just
That's
like
great.
a little bit of that, like a little bit of that type of music, and a little bit of some hope. Hope there's some hope in there, There's also some like past love stuff in there, but for the most part, I wanted to make like I used to in my head I used to be like, I want to make like dreamers music. People who like move to LA and they have a dream and they just need something to kind of like push them that way. So that was kind of like the inspiration of that project. But it's cool to see the development of homie hit me yesterday. It was like, yo, you need to sit down and like listen to the progression of all these things because it's really paints a pretty picture of where you've been and like the maturation of everything.
And within those 6 years, where would you say that if you could compare it to like then to now where you have most improved upon? And then just kind of going back into listening to certain songs because obviously as artists and creatives, we don't have a whole bunch of time to really dive into the previous catalog unless we're getting ready for shows, which you've been doing recently. Yeah. You did some shows with Sebastian Michael. We'll talk about that. And just the other shows that you've been doing. But what would you say has been that, that difference from?
I think it's been like phases in a way, like no pun intended, but I think that like with each project there's been like a different focus or a different like growth. So I think with phases it was a lot of like, just growing as an artist and growing as a person to think that I can even do this thing, like have this career in music and do this thing independently. And I think as we moved on to like my Beanie's Orange, it was like, all right, I'm here. I can do this. Now let me figure out the sound of music I want to make and how I want to like tell that story, And then I think
when you got some dope musical inspiration, something are like some of mine as well.
Nice.
Brandy's
Prince. Phenomenal.
You love Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye is phenomenal.
I mean, Avant.
Yes.
He's been chatting with us since like the beginning of our platform. Yeah, he's a good friend of the show. Brandy too.
I want an Avant feature, so I'm hoping I'm praying for
let me send it to him. Let me send him some of your music because I just feel like you're so dope to even mention somebody like an Avant who doesn't really get talked about in these 2000s of this decade. I mean, 90s to early 2000s, but a lot of people aren't really recognizing how great Avant still is and what he has contributed to R&B from the early 90s, well, the mid 90s to 2000s. My first time separated, Read Your Mind, like complete jams. And he's doing all these different types of shows.
Yeah, he's still touring.
We aspire to get to a level to do.
Yes. And I think his tone is just unmatched. Like when you hear Avant on a record, it's just like silk. It's like suede, and I like try to match his tone all the time when I'm like approaching my records. Like one that comes to mind, Room 143. I was really trying to figure out that Avant tone and things like that. And even on Call, in a way, I was trying to figure out that Avant tone. But yeah, so like Avant is a huge inspiration. I just grew up on him a lot. Like I don't even know why. Like I think my cousins listened to Avant. My sister, everyone in my family loved Avant. But I just remember like having an album, Read Your Mind and Don't Take Your Love Away, like with just R&B, like great to me. Like you think of great R&B songs, he has a lot of like his catalog is just like authentic, traditional R&B records. And he nails them every time. And then he has a cover of Sailing by Christopher Cross, one of my favorite soft rock, whatever you want to call his songs. But yeah, he's truly one of those ones. And Brandy, she's getting the flowers that she deserves.
She's getting everything.
I
think we talk about her so much on this damn show.
She probably tired of all I do.
At this point, she needs to have some damn ownership in this platform. Just the way that everybody loves her, no matter what. It's just like she's got that tone, that voice. You know who I was just talking to about her recently? That we had a conversation with Simone.
Okay.
Literally was just talking about how great she is.
She just
your favorite Brandy or Brandy records.
put that on everything. When You Touch Me, Say You Will. Oh, the ad-libs on Say You Will are just crazy.
What about give me
All
some new
the
ones?
new one. Oh, I love Borderline. I listen to
See
that
how I
like
just got it
yeah.
right.
It should have got a Grammy nom. Like it's just
Maybe
one of
she
those
could.
R&B records. I love Saving All My Love. Is that what we call the first song on that project? Many people sleep on that one. Say Something. Like I'm a stan, so I know them all.
Okay, you definitely a Brandy stand
Yeah,
for
yeah,
real.
yeah. I know them
Say
all.
Something is just one of those records where if you were actually listening to the vocal production, you gonna really love that song and have an appreciation for it. I think that true artists and true fans of music who are actually listening, they love that song. Those who aren't, that's not their favorite.
Exactly.
They're gonna say borderline or they might say
Rather
bye bye
Be. They say Rather Be.
They're going to say rather be.
Yeah, people love that one. But to me,
Some vocal stacks are probably ridiculous in that
right, and I think
I
that
need to rest
even
and see what's in there.
I should have talked to him about that. I was a little nervous when I was messing with Kendrick. But when you hear Say Something, like I feel like it takes someone like truly skilled to even be an R&B singer and get on that song. I feel like my generation of R&B artists, we like run from beats like that. It's like it's hard,
Yeah.
it's aggressive, it's like upbeat a bit more. And I think that was something they had like in the 90s and early 2000s where they just knew how to do those faster paced songs and still sound on brand and still sounds like current.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm trying to match now, like trying to get into more up tempos where I'm like, all right, how do I do this? And
But you're
sound
doing it. You're doing it. I'm hearing it on this new project, SadBoy. And I love the fact that with all of your projects, you're not afraid to keep everything cohesive, but try different sounds. I know you've been producing, so how important would you say the evolution has been for you as a producer, not just as a
I think like part of me and like my foray into production is like big part is like guitar. I've been learning a lot more guitar. So with a song like Life, I started those chords on my song, those chords on my own, and I took it to my homie John, who like produced it and fleshed it out, and Aiden and John came in later. But I think that's been more so like my thing of like on California with a song like Losers. That's something else that started on my guitar, or like ETMGME, that was a song where like a friend of mine like pushed me like, hey, sit down and produce a song. And I produced it on New Year's and like so like just like allowing that to show up in whatever way it does show up and not forcing it. Because I don't want to be like a producer.
Right.
But I do want to have the knowledge and the know-how to be able to sit in the room and come up with a sound on my own if I need to.
And it's important to know, because I'm not a producer myself, like, you know, I ain't get down to let's get in with Splice and put this into Ableton. But I am producing. You are producing at least to know enough to say, this is the sound. Let's take this out. Let's add this. Or you know what? I was hearing this in my head last night while I was sleeping and I had the voice memo. This is what this sounds like. Give me that interpretation of that. Let's do this like this.
Exactly. And that's how like kind of Sway came to be. Like I was in the studio with Aiden and he started playing. Thank you so much. I love Sway too. But he started the piano loop and it was like a 4-bar, maybe an 8-bar loop. And it was cool, but I was like, it's the first 2 bars of that really sticks out to me. And is there a way we can just loop those first 2 and make it a 4 and then loop that 4? And that's kind of what we did with that song. And I love how that song turned out. Like to me, like Sway is literally what I always envisioned my music to be: a little rock, a lot of R&B, it's a bit experimental. Like it just sounds like, it just sounds right. So I'm super excited about how that record came out. It's still growing.
It is.
And I think we're planning a remix now for it, so that'll be fun.
What would you want on the remix if you haven't already reached out to them?
I'm already in talks with somebody that I'm super excited about, and
do we know them?
Everybody knows them. And then I would say they're one of the greatest singers living, probably. It's a guy.
Have you already worked with them before?
I have not.
Are they following you on Instagram?
I cannot confirm.
I'm about to get the look in there, but that's dope, though.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm very excited, actually.
You should be. Because this really is a great project. I know we're just diving into so much with this project, but I want to talk about the record street,
Okay.
and just the sound, the writing direction with that record.
Yeah, no, like for me, streets. I like when I was going in and making this project. I was telling everybody like I want R&B bounce. Like that was my thing. That was what I was just saying. Like it has to. Like I was listening to a lot of Writings on the Wall, Destiny Child, a lot of a lot of even TLC Fan Mail album. I was
That's
listening
literally
to.
one of the best albums
People sleep on that.
of all time. Writers on the Wall too. I don't know. This is one of those things, right? And I want to talk to this king, right?
Okay.
If you don't know Writings on the Wall by Destiny's Child, or you don't know TLC's Female, first of all, let alone any of those albums, you do not know R&B at all.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. And if you don't know a damn Prince record either, you're an asshole. But that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I think there's just certain records that if you want to say you're an R&B fan, that if you're making R&B music, that you should know. Like,
Especially within black culture.
Exactly.
And that's no shade. But I really feel like you have to do your due diligence of research. And not even just due diligence of research, but just knowing.
Yeah, and I think even like to be able to say I've listened to it, I've heard it, like to be familiarized with it, I think it allows you to like become a better artist. Like honestly, completely, me speaking transparently, Brandy, like I've always known Brandy because my sister grew up on him, but it wasn't until I was in college where I did my own deep dive into her catalog where I fell in love, and that literally changed my whole perspective of making music, changed my whole sonic identity of what I wanted to make in music. And I same with Prince. Prince was someone I didn't dive into until I was like of age to really like choose. And once I did, it was the representation. It was something where like finally I see artists that I can just like relate to in that way. Like another person wrote James and Miguel. When they came out, I finally found people where it was like, all right, I understand how I can use my voice. You know what I mean?
You have to
use my tone.
Bro. It's a must. You have to do a song with bro.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I met him briefly at Usher's Grammy party.
Okay.
So that was cool, but I'm a big fan, so hopefully that will happen too.
I'm telling him to check you out.
Oh,
Seriously,
yeah.
because I just feel like y'all are both within that caliber of artists that truly get it. Very experimental, staying true to R&B. And he loves Brandy.
Yeah,
He loves Brandy.
we share a mixing engineer, I think.
Oh.
So the degrees of separation are closing in,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would love to work with him as well. He's great.
Yeah. And with just your journey as a whole, getting into music, what age were you when you discovered that like I gotta do this? Like this there is nothing else but this music.
I think it was something that was like always in me. Like I remember like as long as I remember talking is I remember singing in a weird way. So like that's always been a part of my life. And as I developed, like singing was my first love, and then like by middle school I started to like really dive deep into songwriting and figuring out that. And I'm so thankful that like I did that. And looking back, I think I did it because I was tired of like singing songs. You know how you like want to sing songs and like perform in your living room, but you can't find like an instrumental version of what you want to sing. So I started to like write
So
songs.
like, Damon, where is this?
Exactly.
Let me call up the home.
Exactly. Let me just write a song that I feel that as passionate about, and like so that really made me just study songwriting and really at an early age figure out like the format of songs, why certain songs work, why certain songs don't work, and things like that. And it really just let me hone in on that craft of my artistry. And I would say by high school is when I knew that deep down I wanted to like try for a career. By in music, by singing year I had released my first song on SoundCloud. And that song kind of just like opened the door to me because I released it and I was so scared to go to school the next day because I thought I was going to be the talk of the town and everybody was
in a good way or a bad way?
Oh, in a bad way for sure. I just thought I was cheese and things like that, and I went to school and nobody gave a fuck. I don't know if I'm cursing. I'm sorry.
Oh no, we do it all here.
Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared that if it was good or bad. It was just like, and that's when I realized that like people don't.
So was that your first time actually being like, "Hey, everybody"?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
That was my first time like posted on Facebook, posted on Twitter, and of course my friends, supported me.
Of course,
they, like retweeted it and things like that. But when I got to school, I just knew it was gonna be like the talk of the town, and it was gonna be like, and like it was a regular day in school. It was literally a regular day in school, and that was the moment I was like, it's all in my head. Like a lot of the things that we envision, the doubt, the worried about what people think are just all made up in our head to like stagnate us and to like make us not think it's possible to live the life we really see for ourselves. And after that, that gave me like after that, that was just the kick I needed to where I started to do it more and more and really create songs. And then I bought some studio equipment when I was in college. I was writing for an independent label when I was in college a little bit, but then I like actually.
And this is while you were going to Temple.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Temple. And then finally after I graduated Temple, I was like, all right, fork in the road. This is the road travel versus the road less travel, and this is that moment. And I chose to move to LA, and ever since then I hit the ground running, and that's been my development to where how I got here.
Can you just like put all that together? And I got to pull back on all of that in what you said, and it's very important to bring it back. The aspect of being nervous, what people were going to say, and sometimes the thought of us just being in our head. As men, we go through that a lot of times. It's okay for us to be vulnerable as we're seeing in this time. Because before they be like, oh, you can't be that vulnerable. I like your shirt, by the way. Billy and Kelly.
Yeah, I know he makes soon. He makes soon.
Oh, that is so dope. Oh,
please. Do that.
Please.
Shout out Austin. His name's Austin.
Shout out to Austin. And that song in itself, Dilemma, when we talk about just the nostalgicness of hip hop and R&B and just collaboration and just sounds and interrelations, just in Patti LaBelle being from Philly and then
Fresh Out of Destiny Child.
Fresh Out of Destiny Child.
With a number one. When they thought she couldn't. Kelly Rowland.
And then Nelly's just been doing things just like effortlessly. So I had to pay attention to the shirt because I was like, hey, I really am digging that shirt.
Thank you so much.
But that vulnerability,
yes.
When did you realize it was okay for you to just be open in this space of letting your thoughts be your thoughts and it just be internal and it's not what everybody else thinks? Because I know for myself, I've had that issue and still struggle with those issues of what I may think somebody may think about me may not be the reality.
Right.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Who cares? The only person that thought really matters to is of who I really am is me and God.
Right.
And that's it. And that's on period.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me it was early on in my journey moving here. I think part of my growth and self-development here was figuring out who I wanted to be as a man. And I think that even on phases and my Beanie Zorns, with those two projects, especially phases, it's a lot of things, music on there, and there's a lot of me on there, but there's also a lot of everyone else situations and how I would experience things based on what everyone else thought and things like that. And I think that within those two projects, I started to really run towards vulnerability, and I knew that I feel like I found my voice and my purpose of making music, which is always to confront emotions and make it so that men like us can be more vulnerable, be more in tune with our emotions, and have those feelings, that we're unafraid to feel. I feel like a lot of times as men or as boys, we get told that we aren't allowed to feel certain emotions. So when those emotions arise in my music, or when I'm writing a song, I always think about those emotions that's being neglected and that people tell other men that we aren't able to feel. And I'm always trying to appeal to that. So when I go to write a song, it's always if I write a line, I'm like, no, that's not vulnerable enough. No, that's not real enough. That's not how you really felt it. Or if I feel myself running from something now, it's what you get in California. If I feel myself running from emotion, I'm like, no, that's how I need to say it, because that is what's going to strike a chord in someone. That is what's going to relate. So I think it's been a healthy journey, a lot of reprogramming, a lot of figuring out who I want to be. I also would say Prince, was a very integral part of that development, because I think for a long time I allowed society's view of what a man is to kind of keep me away from Prince in a sense. And I think in my development, I finally came to a place where learning more about his life and who he was as a person was oh my God, this is the realest nigga ever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He is the definition of a man to me today, to how risky he was, to how unafraid he was. He was vulnerable, he was strong, he was aggressive. he was smooth, he was sensitive, and I feel like those are things that make us
And he showed every
aspect of it.
every aspect, every side, every color. And he just was badass and didn't give a fuck.
Exactly, and I think that's what manhood is. That's what being a man is. You know, like living your truth.
Mm-hmm. And it's important for us as men to live in our truths, whether we want to be masculine, feminine, whatever it is, as long as we can be true to ourselves and inspire other people.
Exactly.
Because he's one of my musical inspirations, like I was saying, one of yours as well. So I think he's inspired so many artists that it's just, there's hard to have a conversation and not mention him, just like it's hard to have a conversation and not mention a B, to not mention a Whitney, to mention Michael Jackson. I mean,
the list goes on.
Or a Stevie Wonder, you know, Whitney Houston. I mean, the list literally goes on. Did I mention Whitney twice?
You did.
Well, that's okay. She deserves to be mentioned twice. What are some favorite records as far as
Prince Love Symbol is like my favorite Prince album.
Mm-hmm.
I love like Blue Light. I love like if I Was Your Girlfriend. I love 3 Chains of Gold. That's one of my favorite. God Created Women is like my all-time Prince favorite song. I love My Name Is Prince. Of course, I love I Would Die For You. I love The Purple Rains, The Darling Nikki's. I love When Doves Cry. You heard it on Call.
You know what's one record that does not get any love?
Which one?
Something in the Water.
Which by who?
My Prince.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got it. No, I almost forgot about that one. People do overlook that one. It's so good.
I discovered that was it last decade? Actually, I did, and I was like, oh wait, this is funky.
I haven't listened to that in a while.
I'm like, this is me. This is like so badass.
Yeah, I like also Billy Jack. Billy Jack is another one that's like really like. This is crazy. Who thought of this? You know, like he just has
writing wise. He was just on a whole
different planet,
just a whole nother planet, and he just said everything.
Everything made it cool,
and it was literally colors.
Yeah.
With your music, you do the exact same. How important is it to have colors within your music? Because I think there are artists, and we know that there are artists that just create music to create music. But there's no colors. We don't feel.
Right.
We cannot relate. There's no emotion. It's just empty.
Yeah, I think for me it's just important to like really dive deep into songs and really figure out what you want to say. I think there's a lot of power in words, and I think that for me, like I'm always very intentional with my word choice when I write songs, and I think to me that's something I don't see as often. Even when I'm in studios with sessions with other artists and things like that, sometimes words are just overlooked, you know, or just thrown together and not really make sense. And I'm always thinking like, how can I make something poetic? How can I say something in a way that never been said before? And I don't allow that to stagnate me in a way like I don't overthink it, but I always try to have an air of that felt throughout all my songs, and I think it's important to just show that range of dynamics and I think music should be used as a tool to like widen vocabulary. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Think about all the great rappers and how many words you learn from them just putting in their songs. You know, so I think it's part of that too, of like being able to teach people through music and open someone's minds to where it's like, wait, what did he just say? What did she just say? You know, like so that's always my thing. Like, what am I gonna do? How am I making people think with my music? How am I changing their everyday emotional experience? And I think that's something Prince did. I think that's something that when I listen to Brandy, she does. I think that's something when you listen to a lot of rap artists, they do, where it's just like it makes you like almost rethink everything that you ever thought about life. That's what I'm hoping to do every day when I make a project.
Yeah. And I feel like you definitely do that with your projects, and you're only going to continue to do that and to do that. Absolutely. College. Temple. So what did you study?
I study film and I study like media studies and production.
Okay. So you were really getting down with the
Yeah. I stayed creative. And then later on, I really started to focus on like audio engineering and things like that, so I can learn how to like mix myself.
Okay.
But yeah, Temple University is the best decision I've ever made. Great student life. I made great long time life friends who still support me today, and I think that I was able to be in Philadelphia where like neo soul was there, so there's a lot of like art and poetry there. So like there's ever a time
So
you want
much
to like
art. And you've gone to like the museums and all that stuff. Oh my!
it's like
Oh my
everything in
gosh.
Philly is just an experience. I feel like it's one of those cities that like very welcoming to art and that whole experience of creativity. And like there's something there for everybody. It's just a pocket of community of great artists and great writing there. And I'm so happy that I got to spend some time there. Really like develop some. You know, like, I don't think I was ready. I thought as much as I thought I was ready. Looking back, I don't think I was ready to really have a foray into art. Now I'm glad I kind of focused on my college experience and made the best of that because it allowed me to just I think be more well rounded and be more grounded in an industry like the music industry.
Right. And you've been able to take what you've studied in college into, you know, your career. And you've done like some directing and creative.
Directing music videos, creative directing music videos. I'm actually like gearing up to creative direct a new video for a rapper who's like an LA legend.
Wow.
So I'm like, super excited about that. Hopefully,
You're staying busy.
yeah.
I know that's right.
I'm staying busy. But yeah, I think for me right now it's like with SadBoy and this album, like part of that was like we felt like it was time to really like kind of unveil the onion and really show the other layers of me when it comes to artistry.
Yeah.
So like we did a short film for SadBoy that'll come out in June. It's like a short series and each song has an episode, which I'm super excited about. Like dancing in life, you know, like acting in the short film, you know, like really trying to like just unveil like colors of the Reggie Becton brand and Reggie Becton universe. And I think SadBoy is like that first foray into like really trying to world build and give something more than just music and a video.
I'm speechless.
Thank you.
I'm speechless as hell because literally the fact that you have this amazing brand that you do, you have all of this planned out, and it's so fire. Like every aspect, like if it was anybody that's watching this conversation and they have not heard your music or seen a video, or they might have heard your name buzzing, they're gonna find great quality
Yes.
work. And that's why I was so damn persistent
Thank you.
in that damn email, and then on the Twitter I had to say something. Twitter's my favorite place to even discover, you know, emerging talent that is doing great things. So when I was like, all right, Reggie, I need y'all to check this email because like you are
Thank you so much.
you really tapped in for real.
Thank
You
you.
really tapped in.
No, I don't take that lightly. I promise you I don't. And I think for me, like a hard time I have is like seeing it. You know, like like I think like for me, I'm so in my head and like so committed to like this thing and this level of like greatness that at times it's hard for me to slow down and like smell the roses in a way. So I'm always doubting it. I'm always like, am I doing enough? Am I doing it well enough?
What's your sign?
I'm a Libra. Are you a Libra?
No, I'm Taurus.
Okay.
I'm within my season, but I know that is a thing for Libras.
Yes.
Y'all are just creative and dope. Y'all have a plan, and once y'all get it done and execute, it's off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all do have those moments where y'all are very vulnerable, where y'all do get in y'all heads. Y'all have to come out of it. It might take a little bit.
Oh, it takes a lot.
It takes a lot. But one thing's for sure, y'all gonna do it.
Yeah.
And gonna get it done by all means.
I was just talking to somebody and they tell me like Libras, when they say they want to do something, they're going to do it. And I feel like that's me. Like I'm going to do it for sure. During the process of making SadBoy, like I had the most fun that like it felt like old time. It felt like music being a hobby again for me while making it. And as soon as we got to the business of it all, it was just like draining. You know? And I think that.
Why is that part always so damn draining?
I think because it's contrary to popular belief, people think it's just so easy to get music out. Like they just think it's something that Like, of course, like it's become a lot easier. Like you can do it in your bedroom, but
For sure.
when you want to do it so that it can become a career and you can do it full time and you can actually like tour and you can actually like make this a profitable business for yourself.
You gotta come out that damn bedroom.
Yeah, you gotta come out the bedroom. It takes a lot of like hustle and bustle. You gotta meet a lot of people. There takes a lot of like preparation to it. Things have to be right. You have to pick dates and things like that. So it just becomes a very convoluted process. And normally, when you're taking care of the business of music, it has nothing to do with the actual music.
Yeah, no.
And I think it just takes you out of the creative ether to as a creative, you're starting to do all these business meetings and you starting to it just becomes so much to where like it just becomes draining to the point where like every time I go to release a project, I tell myself I'm never doing this again. Like, that's how that is for me, just because like you give your all making it and then you create it and then you like gotta turn it in and people just want to nitpick it and don't realize that it's like like and not saying that like as artists we are above critique, but I think that sometimes people it's a difference in critiquing something for art and critiquing something for business.
Right.
And that's a big difference, and I think sometimes people overlook of how much we deposit into these things. So you may hear a song and you might just think it's a party song like Streets, but not realize that like this is a real feeling of a breakup that I went through, and like this is how I really feel. Like
It is a whole message. Like it
Exactly.
actually means something.
Exactly. So like for me, like that's always like the tricky part. Also, when it comes to making music, to where like now I'm like, all right, I've made some music and I've made some like edgeway, but right now it's like really for me it's all about fun. Like if I'm having fun doing it, then I'm going to do it. But if the minute I'm not having fun, it's just like, all right, let's revisit this tomorrow. Like I think that like for me like now it's like life is short, so like I want to do different things, like create for other people and
Right.
direct other music videos, and like be able to dance more and put more effort into that. So I'm starting to pay for
Because I
stuff.
have been seeing that dancing in that video. I'm like,
Right.
I was like, oh.
I'm trying to get some 8 counts here and there.
I was
Shout
like,
out
come
Sharon.
on. And people have been loving the fact that you have been dancing in these
Yeah.
videos. The comments been going crazy.
It has.
How do you like just being able to be free as a creative? Because there are moments where people want us to stay in a box.
Yes.
And I tell people, even with my own journey within my artistry, it's like, I'm not going to stay in a box. I'm not going to do that song that you want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes this ain't for the consumer.
Exactly.
Most importantly, this ain't for the consumer.
Exactly.
This is for me to get out what needs to be said and to be able to bring it to you visually, whether that's within video of short form, full video, or I'm going to bring it on tour.
Exactly. For me, I think that like I try to consumers don't know what they want.
They don't.
We see on Twitter
Consumers,
every day.
you don't know what you want, and I just had to, just had the real fresh on this camera and just let y'all know y'all don't know what y'all want. So just listen in.
It's like they know what they want until they don't want it.
Yeah.
So we see on Twitter all these 1,000 retweeted takes about R&B, and it's not enough of this, it's not enough of that, it's not enough of that. And I can guarantee you that there has been an artist to respond to probably like each one of these tweets. Even me sometime like, I'm gonna make a song for this tweet. We as artists, I know we're looking at what people saying like, all right, you said there's no begging and pleading, I'm gonna go make a song begging and pleading.
Right.
You said there's no one dancing, I'm gonna go dance. You said there's no this, and the shit comes out and it doesn't get the 3,000 retweets. It doesn't get the same conversation as the person that's saying it's missing. So to me, it's just like, I try not to like allow that in my space when I'm creating, but I also allow that in my space because I do want to make things that give people, remembrance and that feeling of the R&B they used to love.
Sure.
But it's just not a priority in mind to me, and I
And
think
it shouldn't be because there's so much conversation, especially when always gonna be a conversation of there's not enough R&B.
Mm-hmm.
This is not that, and that's not that. How do you say something that's not R&B? When we think about Chloe Holly's Ungodly album, right? R&B, but it has all different types of sounds.
Exactly.
But that's an R&B album, which they should classify that as an R&B album. But the next person that's independent, right?
Does it?
It's not R&B.
Mm-hmm.
It's pop.
Mm-hmm.
Or
it's alternative.
Or it's alternative. Yeah, or that's not what we cover on our media platform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm throwing shade, literally, but it's literally the story of so many creatives. How do you tune that out and just go with what you know right here? Because that can be a challenge.
I think for me it like goes back to like Prince, like honestly, like to me like one thing that I love about Prince is that he never let his fan base dictate him. To me, like he trained his fan base to be sophisticated listeners, and when you meet Prince fans, they understand music. They understand musicality, even if they can't speak the language of minor chord and major. They understand music. They understand musicality. They understand instrumentation. They understand feeling. They understand groove. They, like they just get it. And each one of his projects are different. Like they're just different identities. Like, you know what I mean? From any album you think of, they all have a specific sound and a that you can identify. And I think that for me, that's always something I took for him with each project, to where like you will never be able to expect what a Reggie Becton project sounds like, because I'm always never going to give you the same thing. Phases sounds completely different than My Beanie is Orange to Thank You for Listening to California to now SadBoy. That like they just all sound different. They all have their own sonic identity. They always have their own like branding, going back to probably our time growing up in music when we had eras and like you remember the Rihanna eras where like the covers, like, oh, that was redhead Rihanna. Oh, that was, like those covers speak for a time period, and that's always something that we do when we coming up. And I'm working with my creative team, Ryan and Dee, where we're always thinking about like how are we going to set this era apart from the next one, and what will this look like. So it's always like this through line that we're looking forward through each project. So I think that for me, that's how I've been able to manage with like dealing with expectation. Is like for me there is no expectations. Like I want to make a rock album. I want to make a like. But to me, it's like R&B is so much felt through. It's a through line of all this music. Like I don't have to force myself to be R&B because that's who I'm naturally.
Right. And that's what it is. People have to understand, like, and this is who I naturally am, and I'm given that. And this is what the project is, and this is the type of artist that I am. Or even if you're that artist that says, hey, you know what? I'm just an artist. We're not even putting genres on it. On me. We're gonna do a project. Or we just having fun. It's such, I mean, I think I myself stuck on that in itself. Because there's so much openness that people should be willing to accept.
Exactly.
The art. There's the word. There's where I was like, where is it in?
Yeah, like R&B is too wide to try to like pencil in or target one thing. Like we'll say something Chloe and Halle did is not R&B, but Drake can do a rap song and it's R&B. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like the goalpost just moves depending on who we're talking about and who we're discussing it. And going back to consumers, like,
y'all don't know what y'all want. Again.
Exactly.
I love it. Talking about performing as well before I even go back to just you even coming to California, because I've only been here for now my 2 years. I definitely want to dive and talk about just how that transition period has been for you. I know we started to talk about it before getting on camera. But performing, how has that aspect been, just being able to bring the music that you work on in the studio to performances? Because you killed on that damn stage. I'm like, yo, when's the next LA show?
I appreciate it. I'm hoping. Hey, you got my booking agent. We gotta figure it out. I'm hoping soon.
I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah,
he's probably gonna be like, David, if you don't get out by 10 p.m., that's a whole nother story.
I'm hoping soon. But yeah, like performing has like always been a passion of mine. Like in high school, I was in theater, like that. So performing is one of my biggest love, but it also gives me like the most pain. Because I'm just like that much of a like. I watch back.
You that much of a perfectionist?
I am, and I watch back a lot of footage, and I'm like, this wasn't good enough, to the point where like I remember being on tour with Grace Weber, shout out Grace, who's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. One day she heard me talking to a fan, and she pulled me to the side. And she's like, like I understand you may have didn't like the show, but word to advice, like don't ruin it for the fan, because how you feel about it is not how they'll feel. So you'll come out and you'll be like, well, it wasn't my favorite, and it kind of ruins their experience because they're like, I loved it, like it was the best thing I've seen ever, so like that's something now that I take with me a lot. So like it's made me a lot less like in my head about it, but like Super Bowl is like my all-time goal. So
that's one
so
of your
like
goals.
when I look back at it, I'm like, this has to be aligned with that quality of work, the issue there. So
and it pushes you because that's what you're striving for, and that's
Exactly.
the type of caliber of artist that you're gonna be.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Moving to California. So what gave you that feeling of 6 years ago, let's do it?
It's crazy because right now I feel like I'm at another fucking road where like I'm trying to like,
Mm.
leave my 9 to 5 and do music full time. And I think back then, and I'm like constantly asking myself, what was Reggie thinking back then that made him move from home, leave a job, and just go for it, you know? And I think one, my friends Damon and Ari, they're married. And they just always like told me like, you're young, and you don't have anything to lose. Like like nothing. Whatever happens in LA, you'll be able to bounce back. You're in your early, like 20s, like you'll be able to bounce back from. And that's just kind of what it was. They just pushed me to be like, yo, you don't have anything to lose, so just do it. Like you're talented enough. So that kind of really gave me that push to really be like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And honestly, it was like one of the best decisions I ever made in life. Like there was so much discomfort. There was so much like learning strides and curves and things like that where I was like, I can figure this out, but it's just going to take some hard. A lot of depressive things. Hence why California starts with depression and songs like Floating. Like, literally that album is literally like a storyboard of the emotions that I felt when I came here. And I don't know, it was just something in me that I knew was calling me to that, and I just had faith in God that like no matter what I did, I would be supported. So now I'm like, all right, I need to get that faith back and take the step again to this time.
I know that feeling because even for myself, when I decided to move, I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but this traveling back and forth, it was the traveling back and forth for me, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I cannot keep doing it. The money that I'm spending in hotel, Airbnb, or renting a car, I'm like, I need to move. It does me no good. I've got my PR marketing agency. I've got clients here.
Nice.
All my people are here. What's keeping me on the East Coast where there's not like-minded people?
Exactly.
And that aren't going to really blossom what I have going, or I'm not going to be able to blossom what they've got going on because they're staying local in the mind. They may not want to be local, but in the mind they are.
Yeah. I tell people all the time that like moving to LA is just like it puts everything in your lap. You know what I mean? And people can say what they want. Like, yeah, there's immensely talented people here, but there are immensely talented people everywhere. A lot of people get opportunity in LA just because they're in LA. You have to be real. Even myself, like I see if people an example, like if SZA wants a songwriter and the budget is small and the first 3 people on her list one live in Nova Scotia, one lives in London, and one lives in DC. They probably don't have the budget to fly those people out, but being as though I'm number 4 on her list and I'm in LA, I become number 1 based on proximity. So I tell all creators, like we all think we like are hot shit, and yeah, we all are hot shit, rightfully so. But a lot of things can happen just by being in proximity, just by being closer to the energy, closer to the industry. So I would urge anybody, if you're thinking about moving, if you are thinking about it and you like thinking about you gotta have all this money saved up or you need to have this lined up, just do it.
Just do it.
Trust.
Because I have nothing.
I didn't even have a place to stay when I was on the plane on my way here. I like booked the Airbnb on the plane.
Yo, that sounds like something that I would do. Because literally when I touch down, or what I do anywhere, right? When I travel, I book wherever I'm staying in that moment. I book my flights literally day of or day before.
Really? Okay.
I plan in my head, of
right.
course, to get it done. Or sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm feeling like it's giving Las Vegas.
Okay.
Let's go to Vegas.
That's more of that mentality.
Spontaneous, and it's still some strategicness with it, but at least I don't have to feel like I'm locked into this flight at this time. Literally over the summer, I decided to go to a concert literally in Concord. Really? And just literally just that day I said, am I going to do it? I called one of my friends and said, yo, really, because I love speaking, because we were not Disney, Nickelodeon was on.
Okay.
When you had came in, as you know, they don't know. SpongeBob song. So I'm like, I was big on Nickelodeon. So I love the group Big Time Rush.
Okay.
It is to no one's secret that knows me knows that I love it.
Okay,
So I was
okay.
like, yo, am I still going to this damn show? And I was like, all right, fuck. Booked it. I went to Burbank. I literally left my old apartment down the street. That was this literally down the
Really?
street. And I was like, all right. I'm like, boy, you got an hour.
Did you enjoy the concert?
I did.
Greatest time of your life.
Great time of my life. And I had already went to the show in LA, but just the thrill of spontaneous and just being like, okay, I'm gonna book this right now.
Yeah,
It's just a thrill.
No, that's how I went to go. This past weekend I went to Coachella Sunday.
Oh,
I went to Oakland. I shot a music video, and then we came back like that same day. We went to Oakland for one day, shot a video, and came right back. And then we were tired. We got back like at 5 in the morning. We were tired. We were all like, we were gonna go to Frank Ocean. Didn't have a ticket. Didn't have a pass or anything. We're like, yo, we want to go to Coachella tomorrow to see Frank Ocean. We wake up. We go to sleep like maybe 8 a.m. We wake up like at 1 p.m. Get dressed, get in the car. We start to head down. And we went on Twitter trying to buy tickets from people. One person tried to like.
I swear, Twitter will never not be that place.
Right. My friends say we got scammed. I don't think we got scammed because we didn't lose no money. But one person was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you the tickets," and we sent them like a deposit for them to leave their house to bring us the tickets. And then they wouldn't come, so then they sent us our money back. Then another person said she was gonna meet us in the parking lot of Walmart. She didn't, or whatever. But anyway, we get there, and a friend gives us some artist passes, and that's how we're able to get it.
That was even better.
I was God. Like,
That was God, and that's what you needed anyway.
Exactly. And I always tell people that like lately I've been going to a lot of things that I haven't been invited to per se. But I go there like, yeah, I'm Reggie Becton, and sometimes I'm on the list and sometimes I'm not. It's just a weird thing. But I tell people all the time, like, yo, like I'm just highly favored and I move with that energy and move with that intentionality. And with Coachella, I was like, like I'm second guessing God by trying to buy these tickets when God already made the plan for me. So like I ended up getting there later. I missed Willow. But I got to see some people, and I got to see friends. So it was always well.
Yo, that's dope. And I love the fact that you've been saying intentional. That is like literally my favorite word.
It's ear candy these days.
And doing things with intent. Not even just as an artist, but just in all aspects of life. How important is that in moving with intent versus just, I'm just gonna make this decision just to.
I think it's like, listening to God, I think is an important thing. Like, every day I wake up, I try to have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of silence and solitude just to like see if I can hear God and see what He's telling me. Like, before I make decisions, I'll ask God, I said, well, hey, God, you think I should do this? And I'll see if an answer comes up. I'll see, you know what I mean? And a lot of times I get a lot of cool ideas, but I just wait for something in my body that tells me now is the time to act on that idea, and sometimes that's an instant, like, do it. But sometimes it takes a minute to, Ghost on Thank You for Listening, People, Grace Weber. Like, it took me a long time to, like, we always knew we wanted Grace on the song and ask her, but it took me a while to really ask her and reach out. Until one day I was laying in bed, and in the morning, and it finally came to me like, oh, I should just reach out and ask her. And I text her. She was like, no, I love this song, I'll do it. You know what I mean? It was that easy. But I think that, like, waiting for me to feel good, or waiting for like the intention to set in and for me to know exactly like this is what I really want, I think it's always just pacing yourself and like giving yourself the space and time and opportunity to hear God.
And giving ourselves grace is important as well too, within intention and knowing, is this the right direction at this time, or do I wait and stay patient and do this at a different time?
Right.
So I love the fact that you just said that. Your process in the studio when it comes to collaborating with other artists, how does that look for you?
To me, anytime I collaborate with somebody, I look at it as like a group project, or like it's like me and you becoming a group for a song. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, all right, we're featuring on this song, but at the same time, the world is going to view this as a group. You know what I mean? Like, it's you two coming together. We're a duo for this next 3 minutes. So let's figure out, let's come to common ground, let's learn more about each other. You know what I mean? And I've been able to get fantastic collaborators who I also deem as friends, like now in the industry, which has been exciting to see. But yeah, I just approach it with like an open mind. I always think about like if I'm featuring on somebody, how do I bring myself into their world? And then if they're featuring on something for me, how do I bring them into my world and things like that?
Right. because I think that that's the most important thing that some people do not think about when they do collaborations. Some people are like, "Oh, let's just do a collaboration." Boop, 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 boop.
Exactly.
But does it sonically work for both parties? How can I complement your sound? How do you complement my sound? Because, like you said, those 3 minutes, even though us on a song will sound kind of dope. I'm just putting
I
it out
agree.
there.
We can make that happen.
We can make that happen. But it has to. It's got to work for everybody. The
Yes.
sound wise, and
Exactly.
you've been able to work with artists like Yeah Ali, networking with artists. Has that something that's been very organic for you, or did it take time to really be able to do it? Because I know you're now saying that you go out to events now, and I'm sure that there's a lot of networking experience
Yeah.
within that too.
I think it is. I think it was. I think it's still hard to do. Like, I think that like someone like Ye is just a very genuine person to me.
Very.
So I look at him like a brother, in a sense where like he really looks out for me. Anytime I need advice on a song, he's one of the people that I'll send a song like, "Wait, what you think about this?" And he also understands me. So it's like not only is he like a mentor and like someone who I respect in the industry, he respects me as well enough to listen to my catalog. So when I send him something, he's like, "Oh, this is cool because you never sound like this," or "Oh, this is cool because you normally don't talk like this in a record." And I think that's so dope. Someone like Grace, like being able to talk, have a song, and then see that develop into a tour together. Like, and now we like talk often and we just catch up about life and things like that. And we like, hey, spread opportunity. Hey, I think this would be good for you. Or I think this would be good for you. Someone like Kenyon, who I met at a show. We did a show together, and then that developed into like, honestly, Kenyon is one of the greatest because the first day I met him, I told him about the Room 143 remix and we were trying to get off the ground. And he was like, yo, I got you. You know what I mean? Like,
That song is fire.
like he was like, yo, I got you. No worries, say less. Like, I'll check it out.
That's your top song on Spotify.
It is. Almost at 6 million now.
Boy, congrats.
Thank you so much.
That's numbers that people ain't really seeing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I look at I look at some of the numbers, like when I look at some of the numbers and like, I really truly thank God. 'Cause I'm like, damn, like, and I have multiple songs with a million, a song that's nearing 10 million, an album that has over 10 million streams, and I'm just like, when did all this shit happen? You know what I mean? Like, when did all this shit happen? And and that's why I'm thankful so much also for like people like Kenyon, Ye, Grace, Tank hopping on Right Time Remix, because them being a part of certain songs have allowed more people to see my name and like to elevate, the platform and things like that. And all of them really came through for me when they didn't have to. So I'm like super, super grateful for that. And that's how I approach my features. So when someone reaches out to me, I always make sure like it's just someone I want to work with. Am I going to give my all to this? Because I know that anytime I call them, they have given me their all.
Right. And I think that it's great that you've collaborated with those artists and it has allowed exposure. I think that that's the most important thing. It's working with those where it forms a friendship.
Exactly.
Most importantly. And that's what we're all about with this platform. Friendships and just brotherhood and sisterhood and cousins. So
Yes,
that
yes.
Smoke is our first cousin.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, he's become our first cousin to the show.
Okay.
And now we've got you a part of the friend circle. And I think that
I just was having a conversation with Duane. Really? Yeah, I was just looking at
that's
the
one of
studio.
my friends. Him and himself, Duane, I know you're watching. Your ass is going on this damn show next too. He needs to. I met him when he was working at BET.
Okay.
And I had no fracking clue that the boy could sing. Sings. And he's so low about it. Like
so low, so humble. And he's
like so humble.
One of the best R&B artists out right now.
One of the best.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I literally had a fanboy moment. I hit him even before we met. When we met in the studio like last week, it was the first time we ever met in person. But I was packing for a trip and I put I just went to Spotify and I just put his music on. And my God, when I tell you that, like, I was like, I was familiar with a couple songs. Honestly, it was the latest song, Still Got Love. That one. Can't remember the title, but it's like that one. So I fell in love with that song, so I just started going through all of it. I'm just like, God damn, this is some of the best R&B music that I heard in this day and age. Wow. Tremendously. Like, it feels so authentically R&B, and I DM him. I'm like, bro, like, you're fucking amazing. Don't ever doubt yourself. Don't ever let nobody, just giving him his flowers, because that's what I like to do. Like if I find some shit
Right.
that's dope and I find something I love, I'm gonna be the one to tell you. Like I have no problem showing love with any of my peers, any of my contemporaries. So I feel like that's in order to receive love, you have to be loved, and I just keep it at that.
And that's a good quality to have because we cannot get along life without supporting people. I know that there's people that don't like supporting or don't like to show up. I'm the type that, just like I have reached out to you
Yes.
on Twitter, I'm the type that's like, I am congratulations down.
Right.
Like you probably can look at my Twitter, anybody can look and it's be like, damn, he's showing up. I love everybody and stuff.
Same.
And I don't look for the same in return.
Exactly.
Like it's what I do in me saying congratulations or having people on the platform.
It's because that's how you truly feel.
That's how I truly feel, and that's that on that, you know.
Yeah.
And that does quite enough. So I'm glad that you mentioned Duane because
He's great.
He's great. Who are some other independent artists that you love that it's just like, oh my gosh, like they're incredible?
I love Destin Conrad. He to me is like number one in R&B right now.
He's
Like
so crazy.
hands down, In the Air is like my most played song for like the last 2 years. It's a
Have
song
you guys met yet?
I have met him. I met him at an event. We got to like we just introduced ourselves. It wasn't like
Okay.
or anything, but we have like met. Who else? I love Bray. Them two together, both just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Keon is doing amazing, as we all see, like making the R&B that we all love. Yeda's always wonderful. Tone Stiff. He's signed,
yes.
but like good friend of mine. We talk a lot. He's also someone that's just been like very like warm and embracing. I'm happy to have him as a friend.
He is slept on. I don't know why, because the boy is incredibly talented.
He is probably, you know what I say about consumers, where everybody say they miss.
Oh yeah,
this, that. He's probably the next best thing we have until to someone like Usher. Like,
of course, yeah.
he dances, he sings, he plays an instrument, and he does them all well. He writes, he produces,
I just
does
like
everything well. Like you know what I mean? Like so, to me, it's just like I'm not here for any Tone slander. Like give him his flowers and like
Tone, brother Tone,
you the man.
you the man.
Yeah.
Like one of the most humblest individuals I can say that I've had the honor of having friendship with and fellowship with and just having him on the show as well. Like he's just such a talented individual. He's always working hard, very smart about his business, and he wants to see others win.
Yeah.
And he's not a selfish individual. Because you know, like sometimes you meet people, whether it be in a session or you just meet them out and about, and they're just very selfish. He is not that.
No,
he is grateful. He is a believer, and you see that.
And he's hungry. He wants
he's
it.
hungry.
He's been doing it forever. He's still hungry. He's still inspired.
And he's still young, just like us.
Exactly. Still right now. No, he's great. Dende is great. Dende's having this moment right now. I'm so happy for him. But yeah, those are a few to me. I didn't name a lot of women who I listen to.
Oh yeah, women.
Alex Vaughn, of course, phenomenal from DC. Who else do I listen? I might gotta check my. Oh, Flo is really good.
Oh,
I love
Flo
Flo right now.
Is eating up.
Yeah,
Literally.
they're doing amazing right now. Flo is great. I'm really feeling. Let me see who else I'm really feeling right now. 10 Day. He's a guy from the UK, but he is phenomenal. If you haven't heard him, Tendai. He's great. Love Amber Mark. Love Leia. Storm Ford. Phenomenal. Genevieve. Phenomenal. Joyce Rice. Phenomenal. And Rose Gold. I'll rap with Rose Gold.
Oh yeah.
Crazy vocals.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy tone.
I love the list of artists that you just said. All killing, especially Joyce. Like she's bad.
She is. She's bringing it.
She's top tier bad.
I love seeing an artist to me where I'm like, you get it. And Joyce is one of those ones where like you see her content, you see her release, you see the rollouts, you see the look, you see the fashion. It's like the team needs a raise over there.
The team needs a raise.
They
Your team need a damn raise. They're working so hard.
I can't wait to give them the money that they deserve. Trust me, because they all work really hard for me for
Y'all do.
pennies. You know, like as my director Chris would say, he's been working for pennies. But yeah, they do it. They show it every time. So like, I appreciate you all for going above and beyond for the Reggie Becton brand.
And it's important that you have a team because a lot of artists and creatives to understand that you need a team, or there are moments in your life where you're going to need somebody to bring it to the next level. And what y'all have been able to do is incredible. I love the structure,
Mm-hmm.
like amongst your team, from like management sides to creative. Like
Thank you. I
seriously,
appreciate it.
like I'm a fan,
Thank you so much.
and that's how I've been able to see your work, just because of the hard work that you do,
Mm-hmm.
and then the hard work that they do, and that partnership and coming together.
Yes. Thank you.
Amazing.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So SadBoy
Yes, yes.
is out. They can get it, download it, stream it. But what is the one takeaway from this project that you want people to take away when they listen to it?
I think my biggest takeaway with making this project was to like going back to even like I think like when you listen to depression is like Sad Boy is like the world of depression where like the whole like make it look good, make it look sexy.
Yeah.
That line in that song to me is like no matter what you're going
Which
through.
is my favorite line from the song.
Thank you, man, too.
When I heard that, I was like, why is he telling everybody's life right now?
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's so cool. Like I'm happy God blessed me with that. Wow.
Yes.
But
So
yeah,
relatable.
exactly. And I think with this Sad Boy is like more of that. Where like we kind of judge emotions how they appear. Now, like when happiness comes, it's like, oh, this is great. Sadness comes, it's like, ew, yucky. And to me, like sadness shouldn't be ran from. Like with any emotion, you should allow yourself to deal with it. And I think with these songs on this project, they all don't sound sad. They all don't
Right.
sound like stereotypically sad. But like maybe some of them bring up, maybe some of them is a happy moment that I can't relive, and that's what makes me sad about it. Maybe it's like a song where like I fell in love and I experienced great love, you know what I'm saying? And I sometimes thinking about that makes me sad. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so it's like this redefining
Mhm.
of sadness and not trying to not trying to create this like just show more of a spectrum and how sadness is also like colorful. It's not just one color. It's not just one. Everyone who feels sad feels like this. You know what I mean? And this is why everyone who's sad is because of this. It's it's multifaceted, and I really hope that people take that away. Where it's like he called this project Sad Boy, and I understand that like the universal of sadness now, and it makes me a bit more cool to deal with sadness and like
Yeah.
let it
And
show
it's
up.
okay to deal with that.
Yes, and don't judge yourself for feeling sad.
I feel sad every damn day. And guess what? I'm not changing that.
Exactly, like you need to be able to feel, and that's something I wanted to create songs that had a feeling to it, that really struck a chord, that really felt like something.
And it really does feel like something. And I'm
Thanks so
so glad that this project is out and available. So I gotta know, we ask all our friends this, right? What exemplifies you not only as an artist, but as a man?
I would say like I think what exemplifies me is the company I keep. I'm really big on like being surrounded by like-minded individuals, and not meaning that people who have all the same morals and beliefs, but people who understand at the minimum I'm human, and that at minimum we all deserve respect, we all deserve love, we all deserve acceptance, we all deserve to be appreciated. Like you know what I mean? Like no tolerance for any type of hatred or thing like that. Like me and my team, when even with negative situations and obstacles, or someone is coming with that energy, that's I always tell them like like it's the music industry. We're not curing cancer here. Like, so nothing that anyone does in this industry is going to get me out of my character. It's going to have me tweeting and trying to beef. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just like we're all getting to do something that most people would die to do. You know what I mean? And we get there and then we start beefing with each other over somebody verse not coming out or someone thinking you stole it. To me, it's just like there's more important things in life that we can use that energy for. So, like, for me, like, what exemplifies me is like knowing that my best friend and my close friends can go in any room and also represent me and themselves well. And that if anybody came and told me something like negative about a friend, I knew it would be true because I know how much we as people talk and we come to grips with our emotions and we work on ourselves.
Right. And on the company that you keep.
Exactly.
Wow. Well said, Reggie.
Thank you.
Tell everybody where they can follow you on social media, just in case they're not, because they need to.
They need to. What's traveling? I'm Reggie Becton, and if you're not following me already, you can go to Instagram, Twitter, Apple Music, Spotify, anything, and just type the word Reggie, Reggie, and then last name Becton, Becton, and I'll be right there.